Gleauge podcast. I am your host, Martel Llewellyn, and today I have one of my good friends, Casey Lopes. Now, how are you doing today, Casey?
I'm doing good, bro. How about you?
Good, man. All right, so we're just gonna hop right in here. So let the people know. So for the people who don't know, who is Casey Lopes?
Well, um, I'm Casey. I was born in Florida, raised in the Caribbean, a little island called St. Eustatius. Um, Went to Western High School. That's how we know each other.
Yeah,
It's not really much to know other than that.
got you. So for the people who don't really know where you're from, where exactly, or like, how can you like explain synesthesia to other people? Because there's probably most people
Well,
who've never heard of it.
no, yeah, a lot of people haven't heard of it. It's a real small island. I mean, like I think we only got like 4,000, 5,000 people on the island. So I think a lot of people know of the neighbor island called St. Martin. So I usually just tell people, yeah, it's like 15-minute 18-seater plane ride from St. Martin. And they're like, "Oh yeah, I've been to St. Martin on a cruise or whatever." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's like almost the same thing, just right next to each other." So that's how I explain it most of the time.
So for the people who have came here from a different country, how did your journey start from where you used to live and then traveling over to the United States?
Well, for me, it was easier because my mom's American and I was born in Florida. So I didn't have to do anything, you could say, like with documents or anything. I just could actually come. So, but it was like a different culture, I would say a lot because, like, if I come from an island of 4,000, 5,000 people, you know everybody.
Mhm.
And then I only came to Florida when I was like, what, high school? How old were you? Like 14, 13? So, yeah, it was different to like not know anyone. But I got to know a lot of people. Once I got to meet everybody, then it felt like home again. So that's what was really different to me is just, yeah, not knowing people at all.
And how was the culture shock? Like, what were some of the things that you first noticed? Coming from a third world country like myself, because my family's from Jamaica. So, what were some of the things that you
Mhm.
noticed coming to America?
Just like the lifestyle, like how things so fast, like everywhere is open 24/7. Like that's not happening down in the Caribbean. Like it's past 10 o'clock, you ain't getting nothing. Like you got to have everything ready before then. Like being in the US, being like, oh, let's just go to Walmart. It'll be like 2 o'clock, and we'd be like, go to Walmart.
Hmm.
And they open 24/7. So stuff like that, yeah, like that's what I wasn't used to. So that was, I would say, was a culture shock to me, just knowing that people work at this time.
Yeah, I know. Now, when did your basketball career, quote unquote, start when you got to high school?
Well, I didn't even make the high school team my freshman year. So I mean, it hurt a lot. So I just went to work, and I was like, okay, when I get there my sophomore year, I don't want them to have any option that they have to pick me. So I would say my sophomore year, because my freshman year I played more like you could say rec basketball. Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
Recreational.
Hmm.
And I just used that to like work on my skills. Didn't really care much about like you say winning the league or whatever, but more just doing things every game to get better. So to just get prepared for the high school because that's really what I came to Florida for is for basketball.
So during those times, like, how did you not give up? Because there's a lot of kids like right now that, man, like Florida, New York, California.
Mhm.
There's so many big states where there's so many people playing basketball. So what kind of helped you get to where you are today to improve your skills while you were still a freshman so that you could later on
Mhm.
make the team?
I mean, I got lucky. I met a few people that would always, pull me along. I had a coach, a physical trainer. I don't get to keep in contact with him much now because he's not on social media. He's not much of a texter, but every day he used to make me come and train, even when I ain't wanted to. I don't know why my mom gave him permission to go in the house and go get me because he'll be calling me and sometimes I'll not even want to answer. But he'll be knocking on the door, making sure I come outside and we go and put in work. Even to like family, friends back home, always telling you they're proud of you. So you don't want to give up. I mean, it's hard in the beginning when you first find out, oh, I came here almost just for basketball, you would say, because you're young, you're not thinking of the oh yeah, school and all this. You're thinking about your goal. You're like, yeah, basketball is why I'm coming. And I was like, damn, to not make the team like you disappointed everybody. So it was just good to know that people still behind you and willing to support you regardless.
All right. So then once you made it to sophomore year, what exactly happened?
Well, we played JV, and when when I'm into something, I'm really into it. So I was really watching their season, trying to stay up to date on how it's going for them, and they didn't do too well. So when I made it my sophomore year, it was like a crazy goal of mine for us to do it like better than we ever did before on the JV level, so that like I can have a resume just to go into varsity level, and I don't have to try to prove myself again. So I think we went like 18-5 or something because we barely lost any games, and I think we only lost like I think we didn't never lost like two in a row. The first game we lost was like the first game of the season, and we only lost by I think like a point or something like that. So it just went up from there. Like nobody even knew who I was in the beginning. So I I felt good like when I would go to random basketball courts and people would be like, "Oh shit, that's Casey." I'd be like, "Damn, they actually know who I am now."
Wow. Wow. So then once you fast forward to your senior season, how many scholarships did you have?
To be honest, I didn't really have any because I didn't know how any of those like
How the game works
recruiting
in
things
terms of
work.
like the
Yeah, I
political
didn't. I
side.
thought Yeah, I thought you just have to play and they're gonna come and look for you. I didn't know you have to be sending out tapes, getting in contact with anybody. I really didn't know any of that. So I didn't really have any offers at all. So I mean, I went to my last year. We had after the season, we had a what do you call that? Like a camp. I forgot what you call those things.
It's like a tournament.
Um, Something like that, but where you get to like showcase your talent, like
Okay, yeah.
a
Gotcha.
showcase. I guess you would
So
call
like
it a
a combine.
showcase.
Gotcha.
Something like that. But it's not like you're doing any drills. You're actually just playing like, yeah, they just let you play pickup ball to see, like, and you have like smaller schools that would come in. Like I had Johnson and Wales come and talk to me and everything. But like I didn't know anything about those things. Like my parents, yeah, coming from the Caribbean also didn't know. So they were thinking, yeah, you just play and you get offers. So the only thing I had was after my senior year, I tried out at BCC and they gave me a red shirt where I don't know if many people know what red shirt is. It's like you get to do everything like you're on the team, but it doesn't count towards your season. So you can only have 4 years of eligibility to play college basketball. So what you get is you get a almost like a head start. Like you get to do everything so you can advance your level, but
Mm,
then not get it against you. So you don't get to play any games, but you people don't realize how much it helps just to train with guys on that level. Like
absolutely.
some guys that are in college are almost on the NBA level or pro level already, and you might not be there yet, but just getting to train with them every day, that's what brings you up to that level. Because in high school, you might have two or three guys that are actually, going to play after high school. You're lucky if you have two or three guys on that high school team to do that, because then most likely you have a good ass team. But in college, then you'll have maybe one guy who will play professional, but to get on that level still is great.
All right. So then once you got to BC, what happened after that?
Well, for me, I did the first year, and after the first year, um, we were still struggling. Like I was like, damn, I'm like it was that's when the mind games started playing. I was like, yo, like my parents were struggling with my money and stuff like that, and I'm like, yeah, I can't be able to get a job because to work, play ball, do all of that. I was like, damn, I feel kind of like selfish. Like they've already given it up for me for the whole of high school. Now I'm still doing it in college. It's like I should be able to get a job and everything to support them. So I don't know, it was tough on me. And then I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna just go back to the Caribbean and work and help them out. So then I actually dropped out of school and I went down to the Caribbean to help them work and everything. After that,
But during that
yeah.
time, though, did you still have your basketball goals like in the back of your mind? Because there's a lot of
And
people that would give up. They're like, you know what, like this is not going to work. My parents can't, send me to college. Like,
yeah,
they might not have all the resources. So for the kids who were kind of where you were at, what can you tell them right now?
I mean, if you love basketball, you're gonna play regardless. You're gonna continue playing. And so I would say, yeah, every kid's dream is to be in the NBA. So that's what I was like focused on when I was playing back then, going to college, I was trying to do that little hoop dream thing, saying, okay, I didn't get a good college now, but I'm gonna use this for this year to then go to a D2, and then maybe after a D2, then a D1, and after maybe it's a small D1, then maybe a big one on your final year. So, but those are big. Not many people could do that either. So if you could do that, like you'd be like Jimmy Butler and those guys. If you could do that, then yeah, that's already amazing. So it's a small chance. So I'll tell them they'll. I went to one combine actually, and one of the scouts he told me like use the game, don't let the game use you. So I started thinking about it. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should go to school and become like a gym teacher. I love basketball, I love sports in general. So maybe I should just use the love for the game to give it on to other people. And just being around the game now led up to this. So it's not that I gave up on my dream. I would say it was like you said in the back of my mind, and I just continued doing it, but just not on the path that regular people would do.
Got you. All right. So then when you go back home, how did you land the overseas contract that you do now?
Well, I got lucky to be honest because I again almost overseas is almost like college. You got to know to send tapes and all those type of things. So we had a guy down there, and he's really into basketball, and he was trying out for random things. Anything he got information on, he was just going. And I
Mm,
was like, yo, like the island that we're in, it's Dutch, so does it have like a basketball league in the Netherlands? So I was like, because if we could go there, then it's not as bad because we have a Dutch passport. So yeah, like because a lot of times teams over here, if they want an American or something, they got to pay for a visa and pay them extra, all that type of stuff because yeah, they're foreign. But for us, it would be a lot easier. So when he got the contacts for one of the agents over here, he got in contact with me and he was like, yo, what is like, why would you want to come and play here? I was like, look, I played college ball for 1 year. I can't send you any stats because I didn't get to play. I was redshirted, so I had to explain him that whole situation also. Then he was like, look, if you want to come and have a tryout, you could do that because I can't stop you. You're more than welcome to come. But he was explaining to me it's a high level. And I was like, look, you know what? End of the day, you got to bet on yourself sometimes. Like, if
you
I
gotta take
didn't
that
make it,
risk.
yeah, if I didn't make it, I'd have just looked at it as in, hey, I got a trip to the Netherlands. I ain't never been here before, so but took the risk, came here, he liked how I played, and now this is my second year over here.
Wow. So would you recommend playing overseas to players who might not have the chance to go to like Duke or any one of these D1 or D2 schools? Do you
I
recommend them
mean,
playing overseas?
playing overseas is actually not a bad idea because it all depends on what you have in life goals, what you want in your life. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're over here, you're away from your family. So it is tough. I'm not gonna say it's easy. It really is tough because like right now it's like we started the podcast at 9 my time, it's 3 your time. So even just to stay in contact with your family sometimes is tough. Not even to say they're not here, but just staying in contact with them. You got to catch them at the right times. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I start my day off late because I don't have nothing else to do. So I start my day off. I get up at like 10, make breakfast, get a really everything working, and then I go to the gym for like 12. But I'll be in the middle of a gym session when my people are finally awake and want to talk. So then at nighttime we have practice again. They're off of work and now they want to talk, but I'm in the middle of practice. So it is tough. But if you do love ball and you don't want to give up on it, yeah, I would always recommend people if they can go overseas to try it out at least for 1 year. It also helps you find yourself because you start realizing how independent you are on people. So you start realizing how you just need yourself and how you need to be happy with yourself and how to become happy with yourself.
And then for people who don't know, what team exactly do you play for?
Right now I'm in the Netherlands and they have like I don't know how to explain it for like people in the US. Like we have cities, like you see how y'all have Plantation, Davie. Over here we have like the same thing. So like I play for a city and it's called The Hague, and then we might play against another city and all that. And this team is actually last year was their first year, so they were looking for players. So that's also how I got lucky too, because you kind of have to look for New club. If you're a new guy, you got to look for new clubs. Unless you went to places like Duke and all those places,
Hmm.
it's also hard to find overseas stuff because
Wow.
yeah, they're paying you now. It's not even like college, so they're paying you. So they want to know that they're getting top tier
And they're
from the
investing.
beginning. Yeah, it's an investment to them. So yeah, you got to make sure that you're out always looking for these things.
Now, two things. What's something that you like about playing overseas, and then what's one thing that you think they should change overall?
Um, I like playing overseas because you actually get to develop a lot more on your game because you don't have any distractions. Like if you're back home, you have your friends, and you know your friends gonna want to go out, and it's your friends. You're gonna want to go out too. When you're here, you could really focus on what you need to be focused on, and you don't have any distractions. One thing I don't like about playing over here is it's a business. You'll hear NBA players talk about it, and unlike the NBA, you see how we could actually Google and see how much somebody makes.
Yeah.
It's tough over here because when it comes to contracts and stuff, a team could actually tell you they don't have the money, but we don't know that because we don't know how much somebody else is getting paid. So it's hard to know if a team values you or not because they could always say what they want to say, like, oh yeah, we really like you and we're giving you all we have. But yeah, then I'll sign the contract, and then coming down in the middle of the year, once you start getting closer with your teammates, and you ask them that question like, "Yo, how much you make though?" And he hits you with how much he makes, and you're like, "Damn,
They're like,
why I
damn.
don't make that?" Yeah, why I don't make that? I thought they value me. You know what I'm saying? So it's that I would have wished that maybe in and higher levels because they have levels over in overseas. It's not just all one level, and they have a whole bunch of different leagues. So like right now, I'm playing in the Dutch and Belgium league, which is connected, but you have Spain, France, all those different. You have different divisions and leagues, so maybe different divisions are different. But the one I'm in, that's what I would want to change.
And then also too, how did you? Because the thing is, it's like when people play overseas, it's like people think that it's just like, oh, like we get to travel, travel, travel. How did you get used to, going to the different cities, learning like the different languages, like the cultures? Like, how did you
Yeah.
translate with
Well,
that?
for me again, I think it's a lot easier than what other people had it because a lot of people go to like Spain and then you don't know Spanish and stuff like that. Here, they speak in Dutch, but the island that I was from, they also speak in Dutch in school from like when I was young. So I don't really know Dutch, but I can understand it enough to get by if I needed to. But also in the Netherlands, everybody speaks English. Like you can come here as an English speaker and not have any issues. Like, yeah, everybody you can go into any store, speak English and they'll answer you in English. Maybe might not be the best, but you'll understand them completely. Like it's no big deal.
And then compared to the states, where it's like there's so many people, shooting threes, dunking, maybe not
Hmm.
defense. How is it overseas? How do they exactly play basketball?
See, the difference with basketball overseas is kind of a little bit like college basketball. We play more like structured and more like a team. Like in high school, like I was saying, you might have one or two guys that are really playing on a high level and can go to college. So a coach won't mind sometimes in high school when, you're just a little bit being selfish and you're just playing your own game because he knows you can win the game by yourself almost, or he wants you to because everybody else, isn't on your level. Where college, they have more players that are on a high level also. So then they start playing more team ball. So then they do the same thing over here. Almost everybody over here is on a college level or higher. So you want to play team ball. So you start learning more. Yeah, it's not just a one man game. You can't win it by yourself over here, like you could probably do it in the US in high school.
Mhm. And then what are some mistakes that you see young players making today?
Um, some player, I mean, I could just talk for myself. A lot of times I would be focused on the wrong things. Like sometimes you got to be true to yourself and what position you play. Sometimes I remember, I think I played with you a couple of times, bro, where I'm always focused on trying to dunk or something like that. Where in the real, like, yeah, of course, playing in street ball with some other guys, they're not too big. But in the real game, I'm 6'3". I'm only a point guard. So how many of us are going to be like John Morant or Westbrook? You know what I'm saying? So,
Hell no.
so more of us could actually be like Steve Nash or Chris Paul because that's actually just being smart. Like they're actually smart with the game where, yeah, we can't all be Westbrook and John Morant and Derrick Rose. So I think a lot of players, like every time I talk to some friends, they're like, yeah, bro, I need to do more exercises. I can jump higher. And I'm like, bro, to be honest with you, like I know it's fun that because everybody like alls that when you get a dunk or something,
Hmm.
but teams more gonna look for you if you could be like a not even fast, but just a regular speed, but just you're smart with the ball. You're not
Just
turning
like an
it over.
all-around
You don't.
player.
Yeah, they rather that than yeah, you can dunk. So I think a lot of players, yeah, we always want to do the fancy thing, which is yeah, be athletic. But I think you got to work more on the mind part of the game more than the athletic part. Where the athletic part is gonna come if you just stay true to it. You know, you keep on working and it's gonna come.
And then what are some future brands that you want to collab with? Hopefully.
I mean, anybody to be honest. Like, I don't have any like specific ones to say I would love to. I mean, what person would say like if you're talking brands, you're talking like Nike or any of those things, like who wouldn't want to do those things, you know? So I don't know exactly, but anyone to be honest.
Mhm. And then who did you model your game after when you were playing basketball? Like who is someone that you're like, you know what, I kind of play like them, or that's kind of who I want to model my game after.
I mean, being born in Florida, in Florida for high school and stuff, you grow up looking at D Wade and you want to be just like D Wade. So I mean, yeah, I just wanted to be just like him. He's an unselfish player. He knows he could play his role, like as we saw when LeBron came to Miami.
Hmm.
He takes a step back just for the better of the team, and yeah, that's more than just basketball. It's a mentality. You got to be able to put your ego to the side just to play and win games. So a lot of times I would want to be like him.
Got you. And then now, is the main goal still the NBA? Because I know that it's, sometimes like
Yeah,
it may be tough. Sometimes like like there's just so much stuff going on, COVID and whatnot. But is the main goal
yeah.
still the NBA?
The main goal will always, yeah, be in the back of your brain saying, NBA, NBA. But at the end of the day, as long as I get to play and enjoy it, if it comes, it comes. Like I'm not too stressed on it. I don't want to make people think, yo, that's the deal breaker. If you don't make it, you didn't do what you were supposed to do. Because not everybody's gonna make it.
Yeah.
So at least you got to play ball and use it. Like my goal is to play as many countries as I can over here, and get as much connections as I can, and then go back to my country and have like a basketball academy where I can start developing kids. Because what we have back home is we don't have much connections. So, like you said, you asked me in the beginning, like how was the process of trying to find a team and everything over here? I want to make it easier for people, like the younger guys growing up who actually look up to me right now. Like I want to make it easier for them when, yeah, if I have a basketball academy and I can work on their fundamentals and give them a little talk like they need to and say, hey, look, this is what you should work on and everything like that. That if they do want to really try to go and play ball, I have connections where I can say, hey, look, I have an 18-year-old. He wants to go and play college ball or wherever, but I have little connections that I can send them places and help them out.
And then for the healthy diet, how important is that with sports? Because I feel like there's a lot of people who, like we talk about the weight room, we talk about, you know,
Yeah,
putting up jump shots, all the personal
yeah,
trainers, but how important is the healthy diet?
man, it's really important, and you don't realize it until you're like outside of high school because you still have that young metabolism that's burning off everything. So you after high school, you kind of have to figure out your body type because everybody's different. Like I have some teammates, some friends, like they can eat whatever and they're not gaining any weight. They're not getting big. They don't lose any speed or anything. And yeah, to them it's not a like they don't have to focus on it because yeah, they're excelling even though they're eating like that. But if I ate like that, man, that would not work. So
Plus, it could lead to injury.
no, that's true too. I mean, yeah, you
Because look at
never know
Zion.
until it
Zion's like
happens.
300 plus pounds, you know?
Yeah, I mean, but still, like just look at him. I'm pretty sure he doesn't not work out. but
Yeah.
he just hasn't found out his diet. Like, not everybody can eat. Like he might eat just like somebody else on his team. Like they might have the same chef and everything and eat the exact same. But for him, he's gaining weight where the other guy's not doing anything. And it's really just figuring out what works for you. Like I've found out that my body doesn't work with carbs. So I have to try to not eat rice, bread, potatoes, pasta, like all the good stuff. So
Sucks.
and yeah, so I have to give myself like cheat days where I can eat those things because yeah, you're not gonna go and not eat it. So you just have to figure out for yourself what your body type is like. And once you can accept that and just work with that, then you'll be fine.
Okay. And then for the guys who are in high school who, they don't really have
Hmm.
like a bunch of scholarships, or they're probably on the end of the bench, because we don't talk about that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that
Yeah.
they could have went to the NBA, but it all comes down to the scenario that they were placed in. Maybe the coach didn't,
Hmm.
think they were that good. So
Yeah.
for the people
I
who,
know.
right now they're probably like they're at the end of the bench. They probably don't get that much playing time, and they're getting closer and closer to their senior year. What's some advice that you can give to them?
No, I mean just keep playing. Like don't like just if like we could use the NBA players right now. Like if you just looked up with Kemba in the Knicks, he's been benched for how many games, but he just stayed ready. Like, and even though you stay ready, that still don't mean you're gonna really get anything. But you just have to stay ready. It's nothing you could do about that. Like you can only control what you can control. And if you're not trying to control that, then what are you doing? So that's all you got to do. Like when you get in, you got to do what you got to do. Don't be like, I was sitting down the whole game. So how am I supposed to go play? Oh, he put me in for 1 minute. What is that going to do? Make sure you go get a bucket in that 1 minute, just as if you was going to do or lock down. That you don't even always have to go get a bucket because that's not all it's about. But in that 1 minute, don't let nobody score on you. Anything like and practice. Go to practice and play hard like it's a real game every game. Since you ain't playing in the game, play hard like it's in the game. It's gonna show. I feel like hard work, always gonna show.
Before we wrap this up, what are your short term goals for 2022, and what are your long term goals?
Short term goals, I would say, like just end the season strong. Like our season, we're not doing too good right now. This is our team's second year. Um, Also to go back to one of the questions you said, what could I change? What would I change overseas? Is every team to me should have the same budget because you're sometimes it feels like you're playing at a poker table and you're poor and the other guy's rich. So how could if he calls you out, then it's like, do you want to take the chance? Because like another team might have like a $2 million, $3 million budget to get players, and you might not have half of that. So of course you're going to end up not having as good of a team. So like I was saying, then to answer your last question is, like we haven't been doing too well this season. So I would like to see us, just like have an identity, like even if we're not in the game, but just don't give up on the game. And for long term goal is, stay healthy, of course, and just continue playing and enjoying it.
You know,
Like,
well, like I told you earlier, because it's like, guys who play overseas, man, guys who are grinding, grinding, grinding. I want you guys to make it, because I know there's so many people
mhm,
right now who they're not where they want to be, maybe in like whatever league or job that they're supposed to be in, but
for
they're
sure.
probably better than the ones who are where they want to be.
For sure, for sure. Because it's always who you know. Because if who you know, the right person, the right people, like you might just get to know the right person, and you might go somewhere far. That's why I said if I make it to the NBA, I make it to the NBA. If I don't, I don't. Look, still a Miami Heat fan, so I still keep up with the Heat. But right now they have like 4 or 5 guys that get on the court, and I don't even know their name just
Yeah,
because of this COVID situation. So I'm like, yo, that's crazy. Like they actually gonna get a chance to stay there. It's not even to say like they just filling in for right now, but they're actually hooping to the point where it's like, yo, they doing good. So how we gonna just get rid of them?
yeah,
So again, that
facts.
has to go back to the same question you asked me, saying, hey, if you're not where you want to be or the end of the bench, what's the advice? Just keep grinding because you never know when your time's gonna come. Another saying people say is it's better to be ready than to get ready. So that's all you got to keep doing.
And then also too, how can you transition to the G League from where you're at? For people who want to get into overseas basketball, how can you translate over to the G League?
G League is always like all these things you have to look up on your own. But G Leagues are like tryout based, where if you really want to try out for a team, you could also sign up for it and stuff like that. I mean, if you come overseas, most likely it's good to have a agent to talk to teams for you, so you're not getting scammed and just paying to go to any random tryout. So your agent would know the right people to talk to. And for me, if I had to, my agent would talk to a G League team and he'll know the people to talk to and they'll give you a tryout. And that's how it would most likely go. It's not to say you have to, like, oh, of course you're gonna have to play good over here, because if you want to try out, they'll want some film, they're gonna want everything um that has to do with basketball. So they'll even talk to your team over here, see what type of guy you are. So it's always good to always stay professional, because you never know who's going to talk about you and give you a recommendation. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes people think, yo, because I'm overseas, I can act however I want to act because it ain't gonna come back to me. But yeah, stuff always has a way of getting back to you.
Got you. And so for the people who want to find you, where exactly can they find you on social media? Can they buy your jersey? Plug
Well,
yourself.
see, sometimes it's hard because yeah, with the overseas, they don't always have the same things. But last year they were selling the jerseys close to the end of the season. But yeah, my Instagram account is Casey_Lopes 23, and that's all I have it on social media if they want to follow me and everything. I always post when we have games. I post my workouts sometimes. So even if you're trying to get like ideas of what stuff to do for workouts, I'm always posting something just to stay relevant and everybody knows what's going on.
That want to play basketball, football, or whatever the case may be. I feel
Whatever
like
it is.
Casey is a really good example of hard work, putting in the extra hours and not giving up. Because if he gave up, he might not have been where he is, today. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, for sure.
So once again, thank you for coming on the podcast. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and thank you so much again, Casey.
All right, Brody.
All right, man. Stay safe out there.
For sure. Same for you, bro.